My name's Jessie Sale, a business journalist for SBC. Today I'm joined by professional athlete Thomas Hal Robson-Kanu. How are you doing today, Thomas?
Yeah, I'm very good, Jessie. Thank you very much for having me on.
No worries at all. So, firstly, last year's Men's Euro 2020 was a major commercial success for fans and sponsors. How can the upcoming women's event replicate this?
Yeah, I think it's definitely got the potential to replicate that success. Women's sport is certainly growing within the UK and globally, and the interest is fantastic. You know, there's little girls playing football now, and who are advocates of the sport and the women's game in terms of the standards of the infrastructure around the sport has really developed over the last 5 years in particular. So the upcoming Euros for women is going to be a great opportunity to offer a level of commercial value, which is something that the sport can continue to build on.
Great. So that goal you scored against Belgium in Euro 2016, was that the best feeling of your career?
Yeah, it was a really special moment and special time, for the nation, given the success that we had in the competition. I think us just being in a competition, it was the first time we'd qualified for a major international tournament for over 40 years. So to be there and then to compete at that level and then to have the success that we had, ultimately reaching the semi-finals was terrific. And yeah, the goal played a massive part in that, something which I'm very proud of and the nation was delighted with. And again, as a nation, it's certainly set the level which is now being maintained, and it's great to be seeing that continue.
Amazing. So tell us about your company, the Turmeric Co, and how that all came about.
The Turmeric Co was launched in 2018, and it was all about bringing healthy, functional, and natural products in a convenient format to people in all walks of life. The actual product itself was developed by my father over 10 years ago, to help me recover from pain and injury and inflammation that I had experienced as a teenager, subsequently having two major surgeries. And we used natural remedies such as the raw turmeric, which is in every single one of our shots, as well as other active ingredients such as ginger, watermelon, pineapple, and pomegranate. My father created this blend to help me recover from the surgeries. And after 6 weeks of having the product, it totally alleviated the pain and inflammation that I was experiencing, and allowed me to subsequently have a very successful footballing career. A year after recovering using the product, I made my first team debut. A year after that, I made my international debut. And a year after that, I made my Premier League debut. So it was instrumental in the formation of my career and the success that I had as an athlete. We launched in 2018, and within a few months, we were supplying the likes of Planet Organic, Whole Foods. We were supplying the likes of England rugby national team, and we've grown year on year since then. And now we've got over 10,000 positive customer reviews of the product, changing people's lives for the better through natural nutrition.
Sounds great. How can football benefit from arrangements with companies like yours that focus on values such as, like you say, health and equity?
The importance of social responsibility for football clubs is significant, and that ranges from elite sport professional teams such as Everton FC, such as Brentford FC, also as well as the likes of Leicester Tigers, London Irish in terms of rugby, but also supporting the likes of British gymnastics, and they're all partnerships which we have. The value that we see is that it's building awareness through their community and through their fan base of natural, functional options, and ultimately healthy options, which aren't high sugar, high fat, high salt, fast food alternatives, which, a decade ago was very prevalent within sports. I think a lot of clubs now are understanding the importance and the influence that they have on their community and on their fan base and ultimately on society in terms of influencing their purchasing behaviors through partnering with brands and products which actually support health and well-being.
So what about your brand specifically? I know you already have a presence in women's football. Can you tell us what you've gained from this and how much it means to your company?
Yeah, so we've partnered with Crystal Palace
Yeah.
women's football team, and it's a fantastic partnership where all of the women's team and their backroom staff have access to our product. But again, it's around building that awareness of the product through the demographic and through wider audiences. So for us, again, beginning to have an influence by partnering and aligning with women's sports, through women's football initially, but as we continue, we're going to branch out into numerous other sports and different sports verticals. It's a really great opportunity for us to really add that continued value to society.
Will the scale of the upcoming women's football competition provide any lessons that the men's game can learn from surrounding sponsorships?
Again, I think it reverts back to if you have children and those children are seeing, constantly bombarded with advertisements of fast food, snacks, sugars, we're conditioning that next generation to accept this as part of a staple diet, when in actual fact, they should be classed as treats. It's important that we have treats in the diet, but what we're seeing in society is that these treats in the form of foods are actually becoming staple parts of people's diets. And are making up and consisting, of the majority of the food that they consume. So actually flipping that on their head and educating consumers, whether that's through natural foods, through being able to prepare your own foods, or whether it's through natural, sustainable, healthy options, it's building that education through society, and particularly for that next generation, of understanding that actually a healthy diet leads to a happy, healthy life. And that's really, really important, and something which we really do champion, and we're obviously really passionate about, and pleased to be involved with.
As you said before, Crystal Palace, you've got a partnership with those. Would you say in the past, like, women's football has been overlooked as a good sponsorship opportunity, and is this starting to change?
Yeah, I would say definitely. I think football and women's sport as a whole, has been overlooked, particularly in different sports verticals such as football, even rugby, as an example. When in actual fact, there are some fantastic sports individuals who are women and who are leading the way in terms of their performances on the pitch, bringing value to the fans through delighting them with those performances. So I think there is definitely a really great opportunity of making sure that women's sport isn't overlooked at all. And as I said, over the last 5 years, there's been some real progression in terms of the infrastructure, but it's important that there is a level of parity between women's and men's sport across all of the different sporting verticals.
And finally, the Turmeric Co recently signed a collaboration with Premier Sports Network. How important is it that athletes are educated about non-sporting ventures, and what role can governing bodies and partner companies play in this?
Yeah, this is a really exciting one for us, because it's allowing us to not only build awareness, across sports, but also influence the individuals within sports. And traditionally, when looking from the outset, there is a perception that there is a high level of care and a high level of importance on the well-being of players, not only on pitch but off pitch. In actual fact, there's a high level of mental instability within professional sports, and so that level of care needs to improve. And again, it's down to the infrastructure which is available, which again is developing, but needs rapid and progressive change to ultimately make sure that the well-being of these professional sports individuals is looked after. And again, it's very difficult to realize that from the outset, but when you're inside of sport, you understand the immense pressures involved within the game. And a lot of these pressures, these athletes are unable to communicate. And so they build these, pressures and these, mental, this mental instability, because they're in such a pressurized environment, when actually there's no outlet to express how they're feeling and what they're thinking. So for us, partnering with an organization such as Premier Sports Network, it is a great opportunity for us to really begin to educate and influence sports individuals in a progressive and positive way.